Alone, Extra has been inundated with calls from people in similar situations. But the good news is some have fought back and won. And Marguerite Rossi found they're keen to share their tactics.
When Shirley Bennett opened the mail back in April, she got one of the biggest shocks and bills of her life. She'd been given 1 month to pay back over $20,000 to Centrelink. The debt grew over 7 years when her pension was overpaid.
I know I've received it, but I don't feel that I'm responsible for the debt, because if they hadn't have given it, I couldn't have used it.
Shirley's case isn't an isolated one.
You trust them to be correct, and when you find they're not and you question it, they throw it back at you and go, well, your fault.
Initially it was a shock. I mean, how can you get overpaid from Centrelink? They're the experts. They should know how to work things out.
They're professional people. I assume when they get information, if they choose not to act on it, that's their responsibility.
Vivian Reid has a massive Centrelink debt. 16 years ago, she suffered a stroke, which means she can't work, but her husband does. And that's where Vivian ran into trouble because of his wage. While she always completed all the review forms, Vivian didn't realise that she also needed to tell Centrelink about her husband's pay increases. An innocent mistake which, over 6 years, grew into a debt of $24,000. And she didn't have a clue until she too went to the letterbox one day and received a nasty surprise.
I didn't want to go to the letterbox because I was waiting for some other letter to come.
That's how much fear you have?
Daily I'd get letters or phone calls.
Each fortnight, almost all of her pension is taken back by Centrelink. Quite often, she's lucky to be left with $1. In Vivian's case, receiving a disability support pension has definitely been more trouble than it was worth. She estimates it's going to take her around about 10 years to repay the debt. Her mistake was assuming that one hand of the government talked to the other. Leah Newnham made the same mistake. She too assumed Centrelink knew her financial situation. After all, she had given them the information. But what's puzzling is that they overestimated her income, believing for 4 years that she had $52,000 in a bank account.
Hello? I don't have $52,000 in that account. He said, you don't? I said, no.
Because of that mistake, Leah was paying $20 a week extra in rent. All up, she reckons Centrelink owes her around $4,000. But they haven't paid up, and Leah has been forced to go to the Commonwealth Ombudsman, an independent umpire that will investigate problems with government departments.
When we make a mistake, we pay for it. When they make a mistake, we pay for it.
Centrelink has around 6 million people on their books and admits that mistakes do occasionally happen, but says it's always up to the customers to let them know if their circumstances change. If they don't, then they can expect one of those dreaded bills in the mail.
The debts have been raised on the basis of the information that the customer gave us at the time.
For our pensioners, it's been a hard lesson.
Well, I basically did everything that I thought I had to do.
Experts say it's easy to get confused by the system.
We're governed by legislation and policies every day of our lives, but most people don't know what the rules are.
But there's at least one Brisbane couple who've taken on the government and had a small victory at least. Rita and John Lisicum got one of those letterbox shocks, Centrelink claiming they owed $14,000 in overpayments. But this feisty pair fought back. It took 2 years, but they got their debt reduced by nearly $9,000.
Don't give up. Don't give up. If you check your documents, if we wouldn't have checked and complained about it, they would have done us for $14,000.
The Lisicums have collected reams of paperwork, and that's a smart thing, according to Red Tape Busters, a local business helping people take on the government. They say keep a record of every conversation and payment and don't accept that Centrelink is always right.
A lot of people are intimidated and a lot of people don't know what their rights are.
If you do think you're being overpaid, Shane's advice is it's best to fess up ASAP.
Well, go forward, make the approach, get it cleared up, because then you're not looking over your shoulder waiting for Centrelink to knock on your door.
As for Shirley, who started it all, this week Centrelink has wiped 2 years off her debt, admitting that they'd made a clerical error. But she's still got around $13,000 to pay back and is still fighting the welfare giant.
Not a nice position to be in.